What are the hardest bosses in video games? A boss which makes me feel like David slaying Goliath with the odds stacked heavily against me. A boss which I'll remember for years to come. A boss which requires a ton of skill to beat and forces me to use my knowledge of the game and skills learnt throughout to come out on top. The bosses I'll never forget are the ones that threatened to break my will and pushed me to my very limits. In this video, we are going to go through some of the toughest bosses in video game history, starting off with a bit of retro gaming. Sometimes, what makes a boss hard is the difficulty in just making it to the fight. The entire game is pretty difficult with the horrendous water levels and the unbalanced nature of the turtles themselves. I found myself treating Donatello like gold because he's clearly the most valuable in this game. The Technodrome spews out lightning, projectiles and sends enemies to jump all over you in a fight that becomes more about managing the life of your turtles than actual skill. It definitely earned its place on this list. The Metal Gear series has a ton of creative bosses to choose from, and one of the most iconic boss fights ever made was Psycho Mantis from Metal Gear Solid. Psycho Mantis is a mind reader, and to prove his power to the player, he reads their save game data from other games.
So, you like Suikoden?
This fight is hard because he reads your inputs and is almost invincible until you work out his secret. Plug your controller into controller port 2. The only way to find this out is if you continually call the Colonel during the fight or one of your mates tell you. These days it doesn't sound so impressive, but at the time a boss which uses such unconventional means to beat him wasn't a common thing and makes Psycho Mantis one of the most memorable and tricky bosses of all time. Red is a monster. Pokemon is not a game known for its difficulty, which is one of the reasons why Pokemon fanatics create challenges for themselves to make the game even harder. This boss, however, was definitely no joke. I have completed this game more times than I can count, but the amount of times I beat Red? Once. His highest Pokemon is level 88 and the others are just as intimidating. Chances are, his Pokemon are faster and stronger than yours. Even if you're sufficiently leveled, you're going to have a rough time not getting one hit killed over and over if you haven't been preparing for this fight for the entire game. Beating Red is definitely a badge of honor in the Pokemon community. Difficulty can be a number of different things to different people, and Sinistar did it by getting into the player's head. Whilst blasting away at your regular enemies, eventually you'll hear, "Beware, I live." The intimidation factor is heightened by the fact you have no idea where he'll come from, and when he does, he screams at you and insults you constantly. Run. You have to dodge the regular enemies and asteroids as he's pursuing you, and if he does, it's one hit kill city for you. Prepare to die. Speaking of insulting bosses, Shao Kahn can sling insults with the best of them. The common thread with most fighting game bosses is that they are super cheap, and Shao Kahn is no different. His specials do a ton of damage. He'll punish you quickly after blocking, and he'll gladly let you know how much you suck and laugh in your face. You are nothing. A mental and pride damage combo. You can't beat me. Another game seemingly aimed at kids, but just like Pokemon, this is harder than it seems. You have to hit every boost on the track or else this giant stick of pork will just run past you. The thing that makes this battle hard is that you can only beat him using a tactic the game doesn't actually tell you how to do. To boost even faster, you have to let go of the acceleration as you go over the boost pad on the track. By doing these two things and of course driving a perfect race, you will ensure you beat this guy. But oh, do I remember the rage he left me in for a very long time. This guy almost ruined my childhood. Before Dark Souls, there was Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden is known for its extreme difficulty, but Alma truly takes the cake. She has all the tools to be a classic pain in the ass. She's erratic, powerful and super quick. To make matters much worse, She has no noticeable patterns to her attacks. After you die, and you will, when you return, she will change up her approach to keep you on your toes. There is no learning here. You will need a whole bunch of luck and exceptional reactions to beat her, and when you do, you'll likely never want to face her again. Sephiroth, the memorable boss from Final Fantasy VII, makes his most challenging appearance in Kingdom Hearts 2. Complete with 14 health bars and an array of deadly one-hit kills makes it clear why Sephiroth was a boss many people avoided on the way to completing this game. Exact knowledge of Sephiroth's attacks and abilities as well as calculated healing are required to take him down. To make matters worse, when he is down to 4 health bars, he increases in speed and begins to shoot meteors at the player. Lastly, Sephiroth can only be defeated with a combo finisher or knocked airborne, otherwise he will stay at 1 health no matter what else you do. All of these things contribute to making Sephiroth the hardest boss in the Kingdom Hearts series. No list of this nature would be complete without these two. Dark Souls is a notoriously hard game, but it wasn't until fighting these two that the thought started to creep in that I may never complete this game. These two literally double team you, and when you finally defeat one, the other powers up with the soul of his fallen friend and proceeds to make you pay for what you've done. You can also summon another player to help make this fight a little fairer, but they often make short work of your friend also. Subsequent playthroughs always have me dreading having to fight these two again. Prepare to die, more than once. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was a game that only required great timing and knowledge of the opponent's attacks to win. Each boxer in the game has a gimmick to beat them, and once you know these, it's incredibly easy to win each fight. That is until the final boss, Mike Tyson himself. Knowing when to counter punch and learning his openings is the way to victory, but one wrong punch could lead you to getting knocked clear out of the ring. This fight still hurts. Of course, top 10s are subjective in nature and one person's difficult boss is a cakewalk for another. Please let me know what your own nightmare boss encounters are in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching and I'll see you real soon.